I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Yes, it is.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. So last week we talked about your hopes for the LAFCA Awards.
My hopes.
Your hopes. So Nick is a member of the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, and they did voting last week and announced the winners. So we can talk about them. Your desires / predictions. There was a low success rate, or what do they call it when you're betting?
The odds.
The odds, yeah, the odds were not in your favor, but
they usually aren't with that group. But you know,
so we can talk about a few things. I see. The Douglas E. Edwards Independent Experimental Film Video, The Human Surge 3. What is that award about?
That's the Experimental Film Award. So I'm on that committee.
Oh, that's the committee you're on. Yes.
Yes. So there's only like 4 or 5 of us. I don't even know. And we're responsible for the larger group does not select or vote on the Experimental Film Award. And I think I've done that for the past 3 years. Last year, Wong Bing, first time that any I think in North America that has ever given him an award, we gave him an award and he showed up.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's usually, a lot of documentaries or short films are in contention. There are a lot of experimental short films, but we chose The Human Surge 3 by Eduardo Williams, which I believe was at Locarno in 2023. And it's his second film. There is no Human Surge 2. So it's
that's like Ghost Dad 6 or what is it called? No. Isn't there a Bill Cosby movie that has 6 in the title?
Leonard.
Is that it? Leonard Part 6?
Leonard Part 6 or something. And I own the first Human Surge, which is from 2016, but he kind of splices together all of this footage that I guess you could describe as kind of panoramic, but from young people around the world and their experiences. Not around I forget the locations. I haven't seen. The thing is, I saw this when it premiered, and because it was the theatrical release this year, that's why it was in contention. But anyway, I haven't actually seen this in over a year and a half. But yeah, it's worth watching.
The New Generation Award went to Vera Drew for The People's Joker. Yes. I know so that's like a new, first time filmmaker award.
It's not, it's a little bit undefined what that category is, because every year that I've been there, there's some kind of discussion about what people exactly are voting on. And I think it's something of the moment, up and coming, I think is the very vague, ambiguous way that we're supposed to be looking at that.
Well, I saw The People's Joker and I thought it was very interesting and cleverly put together. So I think that's cool.
Yes.
Okay. An award for music / score was given to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Challengers.
Yes.
After I saw that movie, I did listen to the soundtrack for quite a while, while I was driving. It is very good. Production design, that went to Judy Becker for The Brutalist. We reviewed that film. It's not published yet, right. But in that review, I do comment how amazing it looks for what I assume was a tight budget.
Yeah.
So I like that. Cinematography went to Jomo Frey for Nickel Boys. We also reviewed that, and I do think the film looks amazing.
Yeah.
There was a tie for film editing. It went to Nicholas Mansour for Nickel Boys, and do you know how to say this name? Hans-Jörg Weibrick.
Doesn't he have that umlaut or whatever in his name?
I did my best. For September 5, we also reviewed September 5. I commented that I thought the editing was great in that, so that's cool.
But it's funny though that is a tie for those two, because it's two very different styles.
Yeah. Best documentary nonfiction film went to No Other Land.
Yes, and I actually think I talked about that because I watched it right before voting. That's where with the Israeli and the Pakistani man that are become friends, kind of going through all of this turmoil. I don't know. I think it's kind of a political move because the New York film critics also chose that because of all the documentaries I've seen, I didn't think that was the best. I think it's making a very pointed statement, and to be fair, that means it's also worth watching. And I think when things are given the distinction of awards, that causes people to it leads them to it. So I guess that's the point of it. But I mean, I don't believe that is the best documentary of the year.
Best film not in the English language went to All We Imagine Is Light. I'm not familiar.
It's great. It is. I mean, we probably should have fit that in, but I think you would have liked it.
Best animation, Flow.
Which kind of seemed like a no-brainer. And I brought that up back in May. That was in my top 10 films at Cannes this year.
Oh, okay. Best screenplay went to Jesse Eisenberg for A Real Pain.
I didn't need that to happen, but I enjoyed A Real Pain well enough. But it seems like Kieran Culkin's probably going to get an Oscar nod this year, and Eisenberg maybe too. But I find him a bit repellent, but as a person. But he'll probably be at the awards. So
LAFCA doesn't do gendered acting awards. They do.
Oh, that was
2 awards for Best Supporting and 2 awards for Best Lead.
I was there the year that this transition happened, and boy, was that interesting to behold.
Well,
I think that's all I can say.
I can imagine. Anyway, so the 2 awards given for Best Supporting Performance were for Yura Borisov for Anora. And Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain.
Yes.
We reviewed Anora, and I said how much I liked Yura Borisov. And people think you favor him.
He's
he's sexy, but I think also, just like I get compared to any brown person with curly hair.
Sure, yeah.
He's a white man with a buzzed head. But I thought he was great in that film.
Yeah, did you? I've liked him in many things, so yeah.
And then you've already talked about Kieran Culkin.
Yeah.
Okay, the 2 awards for Best Lead Performance were given to Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths and Micah Madison for Anora. We reviewed Hard Truths.
And Anora, yeah.
I think they both gave great performances.
I agree.
I don't know that I would have chose those 2, but
they weren't my top picks for the runoffs. But I was lobbying for Nicole Kidman, Demi Moore, Lea Seydoux in The Beast. I think I was alone in the room on that, basically. But yeah.
Another, well, you know more than I do, but another performance that would pop out to me is Adrian Brody in The Brutalist.
Yep, I voted for him too.
Okay, Best Director went to Mohamed Rusalov for The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
He also great, yeah.
And then Best Picture went to Anora, which I thought was excellent. So that's cool.
I think we voted the same weekend as
New York Film Critics.
Boston. No, Boston. New York came first because Boston gave Timothée Chalamet Best Actor.
Oh, well, I mean,
there wasn't a lot. Yeah, it's just fun. It's funny.
And since last week, the Golden Globe nominations came out.
That's true.
We could quickly talk about some that I'm interested in, I guess.
I
don't watch TV. I don't really care. Okay, Best Screenplay nominees: Amelia Perez, Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Conclave.
It's not a bad group.
I would choose Amelia Perez for Best Screenplay.
Yeah, it's doing quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I would like to see that get some awards because the opposition to it, I find also repellent.
Oh, we're going to mention something about this film a little later, but yeah. Best Director, Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, Sean Baker for Anora, Edward Berger for Conclave, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Coralie Farge for The Substance, and Payal Kapadia for All We Imagine Is Light.
Also a pretty good group. God, Corley, I'm so happy at the very positive response for Substance. And I just learned very recently that Universal sold it to Mubi because she refused to change the ending.
Well,
And I think good for her. And I'm so tired of these goddamn studios that really know nothing about films.
I'm really impressed with The Brutalist, considering this person, like the amount of time it took to get it done,
Oh yeah, I mean,
and how amazing I think it looks. It's just, I mean, it's so impressive. I think that would be my choice, but
yeah, for what he was able to create, and I don't think with overwhelming support, very impressive.
best supporting male. Yura Borisov for Nora, Kira Knightley, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong The Apprentice, and Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. I would give this to Guy Pearce for The Brutalist.
Guy Pearce is pretty good.
Yeah, he's so good in that.
I don't know that I need Ed Norton nominated for Pete Seeger playing him, but I mean he's fine. But I don't know.
Best supporting female, Selena Gomez, Emilia Perez.
God, no, stop that.
Ariana Grande, Wicked.
No.
Felicity Jones, The Brutalist.
No.
Margaret Qualley, The Substance.
Okay.
Isabella Rossellini, Conclave.
I like that.
Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez.
Yeah, she deserves that.
I would go with either, well, for sheer clocked in hours, I would say Zoe Saldana. I mean, when you compare what she did, I think Isabella Rossellini is a highlight of Conclave.
She is, yeah.
But I mean, she has 2 scenes.
But
they are very effective and integral.
There's that argument about what constitutes a supporting performance.
But I feel like Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez, to me, would be a lead performance.
Right.
So I kind of feel like maybe I don't know.
But Selena Gomez, I don't think deserves as much as I like that film. I don't think that she really should be awards worthy, but whatever. And then the other one that's annoying was, Felicity. I don't know. I guess I see why, but in Margaret Qualley too, I think that's I really like her in that film, but she doesn't have the range of the range of a character to play like Demi Moore,
Oh, okay. Best performance by a male in a musical or comedy. Jesse Eisenberg, A Real Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Grant, Heretic. Gabriel LaBelle, Saturday Night. Jesse Plemons, Kinds of Kindness. Glenn Powell, Hitman.
Cute.
Sebastian Stan, A Different Man.
Yeah.
I would choose either Glenn Powell or Sebastian Stan. I thought he did a great job too.
In A Different Man?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm thinking of The Apprentice.
Yeah,
never mind.
I know the people that are, he won Best Actor in Berlin for A Different Man. I don't know.
Well, I guess, because the other thing is musical or comedy. I mean, Glenn Powell is legitimately funny in Hitman, so I guess I would choose Hitman. Okay, best performance by a female in a musical or comedy. Amy Adams, Night Bitch.
Okay.
Cynthia Erivo, Wicked.
All right.
Carla Sofia Gascon, Emilia Perez.
Yes.
Mikey Madison, Honora.
Yeah.
Demi Moore, The Substance. Zendaya, Challengers. Okay. I'm going with Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez because she did a lot.
She did, but
including playing a male presenting character,
mm-hmm.
which feels meta as a trans woman, and then she did it in a way that felt like it wasn't like a bit or it wasn't a stretch.
And then it's nice to see. I liked Zendaya a lot in Challenger, so it's nice to see her in there.
Okay, best performance by a male in a drama. Adrian Brody, The Brutalist.
Mm-hmm.
Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown.
I suppose that's going to happen, yep.
Daniel Craig, Queer.
Great.
Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing.
Lovely.
Rafe Fiennes, Conclave.
Okay.
Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice.
All right, well, yeah.
Okay, well, I already just mentioned Adrian Brody and Sebastian Stan for those roles, so I would choose one of those.
Okay.
Best performance by a female in a drama. Pamela Anderson, The Last Showgirl.
Okay.
Angelina Jolie, Maria.
Ugh.
Nicole Kidman, Baby Girl.
Yes.
Tilda Swinton, The Room Next Door.
Okay.
Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet, Lee.
I don't need that, but
I haven't seen Baby Girl yet.
this week you're seeing it.
Definitely not Angelina Jolie and Maria.
No.
I thought Pamela Anderson was fine.
I think she's fine. But
I prefer Jamie Lee Curtis.
But again, there you go in that supporting actress category. No Jamie Lee Curtis.
I did like Tilda Swinton in the. Oh, we have a review for The Room Next Door, but it hasn't dropped yet. I really liked Tilda Swinton.
Yeah,
but she gave a performance that I would expect from her.
Julianne Moore's kind of locked out, huh?
And Kate Winslet and Lee, I thought. I mean, I already said in our review, I thought it was odd casting. I'm assuming that I might choose Nicole Kidman once I see Baby Girl, but if not, I would choose Tilda Swinton. Okay. Best Motion Picture Non-English. All We Imagine Is Light.
Excellent.
Amelia Perez.
Yes.
The Girl with the Needle.
Very good.
I'm Still Here.
Yeah.
The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
Loved it.
And I'm excited about this one. Vermilio.
Yeah. That's getting a little love. Yeah.
You know what? I would probably choose Vermilio.
Mm-hmm.
I love The Girl with the Needle. And of course, I loved Amelia Perez. But I think, well, I don't know. This is a tough one.
Those are good picks because usually in the films in the non-English language category, these voting bodies tend to be very like, what are you guys watching?
So the Golden Globes does best movie based on like box office achievement.
So annoying.
Which, I mean, at least it's transparent. Like these are the ones that made money, so they're not necessarily good.
Right.
The options are Alien Romulus.
Okay.
Beetlejuice. Deadpool and Wolverine. Gladiator 2. Inside Out 2. Twisters. Wicked. The Wild Robot.
Twisters.
I haven't seen The Wild Robot.
Throw that movie away.
I think of the options, like the better movies were Inside Out 2 and Wicked.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine, but I think Inside Out 2 is probably the best movie on the list.
Good job, girl. You made money.
Okay. Best motion picture, musical or comedy? Honora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance, Wicked. I think Wicked will win. Probably. My favorite movie from that list is Amelia Perez. Oh, it's a legit musical.
The Substance.
Well, so's Wicked, but Wicked will for sure win because it's so popular.
I believe so.
But they might surprise us. And then Best Motion Picture Drama: The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, September 5.
Okay.
The film I gave the highest score to was The Brutalist, so I would choose that. I did really like September 5.
I think those were all good.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with this one because I feel like Dune Part 2, I could see that winning because it's the most popular of the group.
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
It's coming. And then we can start talking about new movies again.
Well, a couple of things to talk about in the restaurant section.
Oh.
Chipotle is raising their prices.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
at this point, as I'm reporting it, they have increased their prices 2%.
Doesn't everybody's been doing that.
But they're assuring us that will include larger portions.
Oh, please. You pay more to get fat.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm getting tired of Chipotle's antics in these dirty ass stores. I mean, to anyone who works at Chipotle, if your store's clean, good for you. But I mean,
well, it's just it's funny. It's almost imperceptible when it happened, but it seems like just everywhere is just kind of raggedy.
Sure. Although the one McDonald's I like to go to, they were having issues because it was like a lot of people. The one I go to is in West Hollywood usually because it's kind of like a nice loop to run my errands, and I usually get coffee. And it was getting pretty bad because you get a lot of they have 9 curbside spots. So the spots that are labeled and parking in that area is like at a premium. And you see a lot of people who look like maybe they're like Uber drivers or Lyft drivers who just park there waiting for something. Or like Uber Black drivers, just like they'll just be parked in the curbside spots. So like parking there is often difficult. A lot of homeless people are always in there. And then they shut down the store for like a month to remodel it. So I went the other day to get coffee, and I noticed that the inside does look different and nice.
They made it disenfranchisement proof.
But they now have security.
They have security.
Yes.
So what did I just say?
And they were outside. And you know what? I had never seen that parking lot look more organized. Like, because then also the drive-through, because there are two entrances and a really awkward exit, people just park so crazy and you can't get in and out. And they have people out there telling people you need to move. You can't park there. They were walking up to cars like, do you have a mobile order? Then you need to move. Like,
sadly, this is at the point. Nobody's just going to do the right thing. So you need, if you're going to have a business, you need to have somebody that's your strong arm.
But yeah, Chipotle is one of the ones where I don't know when it happened, but it just felt like, wow, the quality of the customer service, it all just kind of went left.
Yeah.
But even during the pandemic, in our last house, we lived in walking distance to a Popeyes. And we didn't go often. Well, we stopped going because they were a grade. Didn't they get down to a grade C for a minute?
No, it wasn't C.
Oh, it was B.
It was B.
So, of course, we didn't want to go in. They bounced back. And then when the chicken sandwiches became popular, we would go. The service was terrible.
There were friendly people.
But those sandwiches were hitting.
Yeah, because remember when Megan Thee Stallion had her sauce?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I got to try that. And then they were.
I love how much you love Megan Thee Stallion.
Well,
I enjoy her, but I don't know her music. You know her music very well.
I've been waiting for you to watch this documentary with me.
We'll pick it as a secret film.
Well,
no, I don't want to waste mine.
Okay, so I really like her, but that's like Tiffany Haddish writing that book. It's like, don't you got years left? You got years to go. Anyway, but maybe we'll get multiple documentaries. But when I went to get that sauce, the young man working there was like, we're out of it, but he's like, it's just our sauce, but with her name on it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, someone let me know that Popeyes does have jelly. So last time when I reported on that $40 bucket of chicken, and that lady said they don't have jelly or
they
butter,
were just out.
They either were out or she just didn't want to give me any. But
you have to argue for the sauce. Why? Give me the sauce.
But I hadn't been to a Popeyes in years, and then when I went, it was just like, wow, this is not what I remember. But anyway, also someone brought to my attention something that I had seen before. There's, I guess, what's trending are these things called grazing tables. And if you don't know what a grazing table is, it would be like the island in our kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where you
wrap it in saran wrap or aluminum foil, and then you basically put all your shit just directly on the table. So if you Google grazing tables, you're going to mostly see like the world's largest charcuterie boards. I think that seems nasty.
But where's this? Where are these? Like just as a trend everywhere, or?
I think it's just like that's what people are doing at dinner parties, or I don't know.
Nothing like making us feel more like cattle than we already are.
But I've seen this before because I've seen people will make like dip on like the kitchen counter. So they'll cover it in saran wrap and then they'll basically make like a 7-layer dip or something, or guacamole, or they'll make like batches of like guacamole, bean dip, salsa, and then surround it with like 20 bags of tortilla chips. I don't know. That's a lot of double dipping to me. I think having that much meat and cheese out for that long. You know what I don't like? People handling food too much.
Yes.
It's like watching the people do the cake wars, and it's like they spend hours and hours just manipulating that shit with their hands. And I know they wash their hands, but it's just a lot of touching the food. Like, I don't need you to, like, you watch these ladies on TikTok make these charcuterie boards, and it's like you are handling this cheese and meat with your bare hands a lot. Like a lot. I don't know. And then they all have acrylic nails and like jewelry on, and it's just not clean enough for me to touch my food repeatedly. And then it sits out there forever, because if you Google one of these grazing tables, they're not setting this shit up in 10 minutes.
No.
If the party is at 6 p.m., what'd they do? Pull that shit out at noon to get ready? So some of that stuff's been out there like for 6-7 hours before I get home. Like,
well, ostensibly they should prepare the designs of the trays and then pop it back into the cooler or
But it's
refrigerator.
not a tray. It's like literally they're designing on the counter, this huge counter.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it's not just slapping the Ritz crackers and the salami down. It's like they're making elaborate designs.
Although
That would take hours and hours.
and get diarrhea for 3 days after.
And then it's like that shit sits out there till everyone leaves at midnight and you like, I don't know. I would like smaller individual things that can be covered, and also everyone's standing around talking and spitting all over that shit.
Yeah.
And then people have pets and you don't know.
And children.
You think a dog's not gonna get up there and sneak a little bite, sneak a little taste? I'm not mad at him though. Okay, we have a few things in the Sorry to This Man section.
Oh God. Well, I know one of them's mine.
Oh, we'll start with yours.
Well, didn't I refer to off the cuff? Said something. You were replaying a was it last week's podcast? And I heard myself say totem pole, like in the way that is technically incorrect. I was like, why did I say that? It was in reference Paul Schrader. We were talking about Paul Schrader and Master Gardener, and I said that's a lower film on the totem pole.
The point is that
Yes.
that term or that turn of phrase is considered offensive and certainly is not your intention.
I know better.
Because I almost said it the other day talking about Beauty in Black, saying that Mallory Ballalary and her driver, and like, does he really think she wants to get with him when he is and then I was going to say lowest person but then I just changed it to he is at the bottom of the organizational chart.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you certainly was not your intention to say something that would offend people. Next, I referred to Graham Norton as British, and then I got many messages saying he's not British, he's Irish. So first off, I did not know he was Irish, so I'm glad people told me that, but I don't think I was referring to his nationality. I was saying I assumed that his show is like a British TV show.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm glad people did tell me that, because if you would have asked me where is Graham Norton from, I definitely would have said the UK. So now I know he's not British, he's Irish. And then this is not really an error, but more like something I didn't realize, because we talked about Selena Gomez getting criticized for her Spanish. But I guess I didn't remember that in the movie Emilia Perez, Selena Gomez's character is Mexican American.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be like me when I speak Spanish. Like, I'm sure people will clock me too. But, so the criticism she received for her Spanish not being, it didn't seem native or her first language. I didn't recall this, but apparently in the film, it is mentioned that she grew up in.
Well, there's that whole thing with her sister, who is also who her husband was dating first.
Oh,
like I remember that as a backstory as well. But yeah, I think that.
But that all being said, it's interesting that she got a Golden Globe nod, because while I do think that, like, I love the movie, I love it more for the ensemble and the story and some of the performances. But like you said, where did it premiere?
Cannes.
I think all four ladies getting an award feels extra.
Yes, especially the fact that nobody's talking about the fourth one.
Because, and I like the fourth one.
Yeah,
I thought she was better than Selena Gomez.
The same.
But I think the clear front runner
is Carla,
is the titular character,
and Zoe's pretty good too.
And of course, but anyway, there's that. Films released we didn't cover: The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Referendum. What is this? Rohypnol? I don't know.
Rorim.
Is that a cartoon?
It's an animated film.
Oh, okay.
Cartoon sounds so dismissive. It's directed by Kenji Kamiyama, and I didn't even bring this. I don't think I even asked you anything about this, because I'm like,
well, you knew better.
This is set 183 years before the Lord of the Rings.
That's such a specific time frame.
I think that's it. I think that, but I have not seen this, and I don't know at what point I will. I still haven't gotten you to watch the Peter Jackson films, but there we are. But it's funny because my introduction,
that'll require money.
My introduction to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit as a kid were those animated films that my grandmother bought me, and I watched those before I read the books as a kid. So this is kind of a return to that element.
Next is the film Carry On Netflix, which I was kind of interested in because I do like Taron Egerton.
And Jason Bateman.
I can't stand Jason Bateman. I can't listen to Smart List. Like, between him acting like he's not acting, but him being so unrelatable, and then Sean Hayes just seeming... I hate the way they ask questions. I love Will Arnett.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time I listen to Smart List is when there's a guest I really like.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Jason Bateman's enough for me to say I probably won't. But
Wow.
we did get several comments.
I almost put this on yesterday. I would watch this. It's directed by Wame Khaled Sarah, who's worked many times with Liam Neeson. The ones that pop into my head are Nonstop and what's the one with January Jones called Unknown that I did not like. And he did the first Orphan, I believe. So I feel like I already know what this is kind of going to be like. But compared to some of Netflix's recent releases, this looks more interesting.
Oh. Lastly, The Colors Within.
Another animated film. Naoko Yamada, who I believe she's directed several other features and a great many short films. But this is... about a girl who can see colors in people's hearts, and she joins a band with 2 other people. There's the plot.
Projects of Interest, The Twilight of the World.
And more animated. Werner Herzog is making his first animated film, and this is based on a book, and hopefully we get to see this next year. But he hasn't had a narrative feature. God, what was the last one? Was the last one Queen of the Desert?
I don't know.
We're due for a Herzog narrative anyway.
Well, this is one that piques my interest. There's an untitled Brady Corbet film in the works.
Yeah, he said he's working on a 70s Western horror film. And he mentioned, I think, riding the top of this wave that he's on for The Brutalist, that he thinks he has the opportunity to do something that's really shocking and going to bother people.
Oh, well, I'm intrigued for sure.
Yeah.
Lastly, The Kristoffers.
And the perennial Steven Soderbergh is already hard at work on a new project. And it stars Ian McKellen, Michaela Cole, and James Corden. Don't need that last one. But and it has something to do with, I think it must be Ian McKellen playing an older artist who dies, and his children have his unfinished final works forged so they can make money.
Oh.
I think that's the plot. Anyway, Soderbergh, even if it's not everything's exactly wonderful, he's always interesting.
On our Patreon this past week, we reviewed the film Atlantics, or the French title Atlantique, a 2019 film directed by Matty Diop, which I thought was lovely. So people can check that out. And we reviewed the Tyler Perry Netflix series Beauty in Black, and we made it available to the public, so you don't have to pay to listen to it. And then a patron recommended we push it on YouTube. So I thought that was a great idea. So I posted about it, and then I took all 8. Well, there are 7 episodes because one of them had 2 parts to it. I took all 7 of the Patreon episodes and combined them and put them on YouTube, which created a 4-hour video. But we received a lot of people who joined our patrons. So thank you to all those people.
Oh, yes.
I hope they're not disappointed that we don't usually review things like Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, although I'm sure we'll do part 2. And
well, we did review. We'll be reviewing all 3 films we'll have reviews for this year.
Tyler Perry's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we do follow Tyler Perry. I guess I hate watching him at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the new patrons who I hope also listen to our podcast. Unfortunately, there's an entry in the obituary section. Nikki Giovanni died.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
She's one of the world's best known African-American poets. She died at the age of 81. So whenever I hear her name, I think about the Tina Marie song Square Biz. Square Biz has a rap break, which was a unique feature back in the 80s, at that time when that song came out. But there's a line in the rap where she says, "You know I love spirituals and rock. Sarah Vaughan, Johann Sebastian Bach, Shakespeare, Maya Angelou, and Nikki Giovanni, just to name a few."
Mm-hmm.
That's always in my head. So that's my lovely thought of Nikki Giovanni is that song.
That's right. I because I had forgotten, I had planned on reading one of my favorite poems by her at the end of this podcast, but I guess we don't have to do that.
Well, we can. Do you not have it ready?
I do.
Well, in honor of Nikki Giovanni, we will end this podcast with a reading from A. Nicholas Bell.
Just as she would have wanted.
Just as she would have wanted. Damn. Okay, the secret film this week was my choice, and I chose the 1992 American Christmas Miranda Richardson.
Moranthony.
The 1992 American Christmas romantic comedy, Christmas in Connecticut, not to be confused with the 1945 film of the same name.
With Barbara Stanwyck.
No, this one stars Diane Cannon, Kris Kristofferson, and Tony Curtis. And probably more interestingly, it is the only directing credit, feature film credit, for an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger directed this movie. So immediately it caught my attention. I wanted to do a 1990s TV Christmas film, something akin to the one you selected.
A Mom for Christmas?
Starring Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be fun. Those are always fun to watch and talk about.
It was a different time, yes.
And I will say, I thought this movie was very cute.
It is cute. It's definitely not as good as the original.
I did not know who Diane Cannon was.
I think that's the best part of this is I think you were able to discover her because she is lovely.
And I really liked her.
Mm-hmm.
The story is that Diane Cannon plays this like Martha Stewart type lady. She has a very popular television show where she cooks. She's written many successful cookbooks. And she is living the life in New York City. Okay, so in the background, Kris Kristofferson,
Jefferson Jones,
plays a park ranger who's been missing for like a week because there's this like baby Jessica situation with this kid who's also been lost in this park, and they're finally found. So it's like a huge, it's huge television news that this park ranger has been found. So Tony Curtis plays Diane Cannon's like manager / producer. And he's obsessed with ratings and more success. So he finds out that Kris Kristofferson's home had burned down, and the only thing that didn't burn was one of Diane Cannon's books. So he makes the assumption that this park ranger is like a huge Diane Cannon fan. So he contacts him and says, "Hey, do you want to do a Christmas special with Diane Cannon?" And he says, "Yes, of course." So the problem with this Christmas special is, one, it's going to be live, but two, and more importantly, Diane Cannon cannot cook. It's all a ruse. But what I found so lovely about the film is you would expect it to take more of the Scrooge approach, which is that she's kind of like a hard ass who is faking it and treats all her employees like shit, and her spot's going to get blown up, and then she learns sort of the spirit of Christmas and giving and being true to herself. But in this movie, her character is not like that. She is a really lovely lady, and everyone who works for her really likes her, including the woman who does all of the cooking for her. So the first like act of the film is really lovely, like meeting this lady, seeing how she's just, bebopping along. Tony Curtis is playing it super flamboyant. And then things take a turn once Kris Kristofferson shows up, because in the middle part of the film it's supposed to be kind of slapsticky screwball because Diane Cannon doesn't know how to do anything. She's pretending because the special is going to take place at her country home in Connecticut. And they're acting like, oh, we chop down our own tree. We shoot our own Christmas goose. Also, Diane Cannon's supposed to have a family, but she's not. She's a single woman. So Tony Curtis pretends to be her husband. She gets some of her staff to pretend to be her like child and brother, son-in-law. She has a couple of fake grandkids. And then everything culminates in what I think is the best part of the movie, which is the actual live taping, because everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And the executive for the network, played by Richard Roundtree, is there, and he fires everyone. So at the end of the film, we see that Diane Cannon's back in New York and Kris Kristofferson is with her. So I guess a romance has formed. We're going to get into this romance, but they're just, having a good time in her apartment when the door knocks, and it's Richard Roundtree and Tony Curtis. And Richard Roundtree says, you know what? I know I fired your ass, but the ratings are through the roof. The network would be so happy to have you back. We'll offer you twice as much money this time. And she says, well, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you from Colorado. So she's going to move to Colorado with Kris Kristofferson. The end. What did you like about this movie?
Diane Cannon.
She's beautiful. She's how old? 55?
Yeah.
That lady's pretty. I mean, she's kept it together.
Yeah. I mean, even watching her at this age, I kept thinking, like, God, she reminds me of somebody, the way her face is shaped and in the eyes. She looked like a light-skinned Eartha Kitt to me.
You said that. What did I think she looked like? I don't remember. Oh, I said she could have been Rebecca Gayhart's mom.
That hair.
Her hair is beautiful.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful smile. And she has these talons for fingernails. Like they look like acrylics. But I love that her look doesn't match her person. Because you would think she'd be like not a nice lady.
Or difficult, but she's actually like really chill and quirky. Yeah, she's a little weirdo.
We'll get to it. I liked the supporting cast, the actor playing Josie, the woman who does all the cooking.
Kelly Senante.
She pretends to be the daughter during the Christmas special. Her character's plot line, besides being their actual cook, is that she's married to this guy named Tyler. And their marriage is kind of having a hard time because Tyler's preoccupied with his career as an actor. I thought the Tyler character was funny.
Gene Lithgow.
Yeah, he's like he's like a nice looking guy who's obsessed with booking like a role, and the role is for a serial killer. So he's doing method acting the entire film as like a serial killer. The woman who plays Diane Cannon's housekeeper, Nora.
Vivian Bonnell, who played Ortisha in Ghost.
Oh, she's in Ghost?
Yeah.
I really like that character because, like, again, it's like, oh, of course, this rich white lady has this black lady housekeeper, but their relationship feels more like, yes, she works for me, but it's handled in a way that didn't feel cringy to me. And I think Nora has moments where, because I also don't like when they have like the black, domestic worker being sassy and like Nora's just there and she's like, what do we get ourselves into? And
compared to Scrooged, which I don't know the last time you watched that, but the lovely Elfrey Woodard is Bill Murray's assistant in that. And I hate how they kind of leave out reconciling how he treated her.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
So no, in this one, I think that those supporting characters are cute. The actor who played Pugsley in Addams Family,
Jimmy Workman,
he does a really good job being a really annoying,
he's obnoxious
adolescent. Yes. Again, I think the ending, which we can get more into, but where they're doing the live taping and it all goes to shit, I thought that was so well done. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger did do a good job, and I think so. We're going to talk about at least two things that I think were kind of ruinous, but
okay,
if it weren't for those two things, I would say that Arnold knocked this out the park. And the two things that we have a problem with, or I do at least, I don't know that they're entirely his fault. So one of the things that didn't work for me is Tony Curtis. And I really like Tony Curtis.
I do too.
I've seen interviews with him. He seems like a fun guy. I think he's fun in this movie. The problem is he is so extra flamboyant that for the first 20 minutes, didn't you fully assume he was gay?
I'm like, this is a gay man that I'm watching. Yes.
Like, not even a question.
No question in my mind.
He's preening, he's fussy, he's screaming.
He's bitchy, yes.
He's like looking at himself in the mirror. We see him when he finds out about Kris Kristofferson's character liking Diane Cannon. he's like having a spa day with his toes out, wrapped in a towel, and the towel's covering his like nipples. He's he has like a face mask with tea bags on his eyes, and he's reacting flamboyantly.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they get to the house in Connecticut, and it's clear that Diane is kind of like has eyes for Kris Kristofferson, and he also kind of likes her.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, Tony Curtis gets really creepy, like acting like
come to bed.
You need to fulfill your marital duties since we're pretending to be married. And he's being very possessive. At one point, he's trying to get her to go to bed, and he was wearing a suit,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden he doesn't have pants on. So it felt very like inappropriate and awkward. And the other thing is the energy Diane Cannon's giving his character in the first part of the movie would also indicate that she thinks he's gay.
Yeah.
So I think that really ruined it, because then the second half of the movie, Tony Curtis, again, he has moments where he's funny because he's reacting, but it's all one note.
There are no levels to it.
There are no levels. So it got a little grating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing I liked least about the film, and I know he just died, but I thought Kris Kristofferson was so wrong for this.
He feels really crusty here. Yeah.
He looks crusty. He's acting crusty.
Well, the word you used was that I think is perfect and fit him for a long time was weathered. Because he's ostensibly only a year less older than Diane Cannon.
He's younger than Diane Cannon.
A year older.
Oh, you're older. Like a Clint Eastwood has a weathered face, but it works for him because I think he comes across as sort of stern and like the kind of man who wouldn't be preoccupied with, skincare or something.
You're right.
Like for some reason it works for Clint Eastwood. But I think Kris Kristofferson, first of all, he has that hair, which looks like, he's fussy about his hair.
Yes.
And then his beard is fully dyed and it just looks so fake.
Mm-hmm.
So already it's like, oh, so you are concerned with grooming, but then your face looks like sandpaper. I don't know. On top of that, zero energy. Zero energy.
Yeah, he seems very bored and also kind of dumb.
And I haven't seen the 1945 film, but I think the dynamic between the two, it's not giving like screwball.
No, and the problem with, I haven't watched the 45 version in years, but Barbara Stanwyck is lovely. But I think I remember not caring for the male lead in that, Dennis Morgan. And the film has to kind of depend on the Sidney Greenstreet character for
Tony Curtis.
Yeah, for some of that extra.
Yeah, well, because it's like he's so stupid, Kris Kristofferson's character, because Diane Cannon, like a child could see once we get to Connecticut that she does not know what she's doing. But it's not even like
something's wrong or something's rotten in the kingdom of Connecticut.
Right. Like the fact that Diane Cannon's so cute and playing it is what works, but the actual, like on paper, it just seems like, how would anyone think? She doesn't know. When Kris Kristofferson first gets to the house, there's chaos because everyone he arrived early, but unbeknownst to everyone except Tony Curtis, because he planned it, which we'll get to because there's an inconsistency, I thought, in how that worked out. But he sees that the house is in like it's full chaos. Then at one point, they're saying, oh, well, Kris, you can go to your room and chill. And then she doesn't know where the rooms are in the house. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. Then she refuses to cook. Every time he asks a question, Kris Kristofferson, Diane Cannon has a weird answer. Like that just sounds like all you do is lie. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for how cute Diane Cannon is, if you just read the script and the dialogue, you would say this woman is like a pathological liar. Like, I mean, it's just really uncomfortable. Like she can't answer anything in an authentic way. And yet when towards the end, now that Diane Cannon realizes that she likes Kris Kristofferson and doesn't want to keep pretending, she tells him, well, what if I weren't this person you see? What if this weren't my home in Connecticut, which is not? What if that weren't my husband, which is not? What if I couldn't cook, which I can't? He reacts to her like, I'd be flabbergasted. That's not true. Like, what? I mean, they go shooting for geese because she's known for her Christmas goose. Mm-hmm. So they go hunting. And the way she goes out there hunting, and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm hunting all the time. And it's like she can't even hold a gun.
No.
And she's not dressed properly. She's complaining because she's cold. And
I've never had a Christmas goose, come to think of it.
Have you ever had goose?
I don't think so.
I mean, besides pate, but
I've had duck.
Yeah, they make pate out of goose as well, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've had goose pate.
I feel like I've had pate, but like a Christmas goose. I think we need to get ourselves a goose.
If someone wants to invite us to a restaurant that has Christmas goose,
if we can,
what doesn't have to be Christmas?
No, I can eat a goose any time of the year.
Yeah, someone wants to invite us to a nice goose, a goose down dinner. I'm just going to start going through my notes.
Yes.
So we see Kristofferson in his like cabin watching TV, and it made me think, did your parents ever have the kind of TV that had the dials?
Yes.
Like not a remote? Mm-hmm. Like how violent that process seems of like changing channels.
Oh yeah. And
compared to how we watch TV now.
Yes.
Oh gosh. So the film opens with Diane. When we first meet Diane Cannon, she's taping her show, and she's so cute on camera. And then you have Tony Curtis in the back, barking, and he cuts the filming at one point because she's like, you know what, I love to add to my, because she makes like a potato dish. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, you know what I love to add? You grab a little like mint, parsley and mint, and some olive oil, and you ground it up, and you make this pesto. And then Tony Curtis is yelling, cut, no more pesto. Pesto is passe. And I thought that was a fun start.
She's like, what do you want me to call it? He's like, Oprah would never use pesto.
She would use something like puree.
Puree is that's not puree. Maybe she could have gotten away with the word aioli in that instance.
But at first, when you meet Tony Curtis, it's fun because it's like, wow, he is really going for it. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, is every taping this hectic? Because we'd have to kill him.
Oh, yeah, it's too stressful.
Because he's acting like it's their first show. Mm-hmm. But this is like, I mean, considering her success, this seems like it's show 932.
It's. I feel like he could stay at home.
It can't be this hectic, especially when everyone knows what they're doing.
Right.
Because we have Josie in the back actually cooking the food. And then if they're able to cut, that means that they can splice stuff together. Why does he have to run around screaming?
Yeah, there should be no stress.
No stress. Yeah. Like they're cooking on the show, so there are hours that have to go by to prepare these meals. I don't understand what the rush was. Okay, we talked about Diane Cannon's character being quirky, and one of her quirks is she likes to shop. She likes money, but not in like an obnoxious way. It's more like she likes money because she wants to buy
her little things.
Like, so she has a lot like tchotchkes and figurines. And so we don't know this yet about her before we see her window shopping after she leaves the taping. And she walks past this like nice little like antique shop looking place. And she sees a figurine, and then the shop owner like lifts it up to show her through the window, and we see the price tag. It's $2,500
in 1992.
And she kind of winces. But then when she gets home to her fabulous, penthouse, her housekeeper Nora is getting ready to leave, and they exchange pleasantries. And Diane's telling her like, oh, why don't you leave early and don't worry about Thanksgiving. I'll see you on Friday. Enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. And Nora's like, don't tell me you bought something. Like Nora's checking her. Like, you said you were going to stop spending money. And Diane's like, I promise. And Diane is so thin, and she's wearing this really cute, tight black outfit. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you can frisk me. Like, I don't have you. Clearly, you could see her bones through her outfit. So I thought that was cute. And Nora's like, okay, well, happy Thanksgiving. And as soon as Nora closes the door, I thought Diane Cannon was so cute because she kind of sneaks over. Her purse is sitting on top of her piano, and her piano is covered with all these ugly tchotchkes.
They are so ugly.
And as soon as she hears the door close, she kind of like waits like a beat. And then she like grabs her purse and pulls out this tchotchke wrapped in paper. And she's holding it like it's a newborn baby. And then she sets it down. And was that the $2,500 tchotchke?
I think so.
And it's ugly. It doesn't match their apartment or anything. But of course, they set up the fact that she likes to buy these little expensive things because that's what gets, when Tony Curtis explains to her, like, if we do this special, that means more money. And she goes, okay, we can do it. Because at first she's scared, like everyone's going to know that I'm a fraud. I think it's cute because we don't know she can't cook. I mean, I knew because I read the premise, but if you don't know about the movie and you started, you don't know that she can't cook.
Well, no, because the TV show is not really cooking.
No, it's not.
So
it's not odd that there's an assistant getting everything ready.
That for filming purposes, like you pop a goose in the oven and the next scene is the goose is done.
Right. And the job of the host is to host. So Diane
Yeah.
Cannon's very good. She's very charming and beautiful. So she's doing her job. So as the audience, we don't know she can't cook. But then she sits down for Thanksgiving dinner in her beautiful formal dining room. She has like a place setting fit for a queen.
Mm-hmm.
And then she lifts
She is enjoying her Pinot Grigio.
Yeah. And she lifts the cover off of her, place setting. And we see that she just has a burger.
That could have been an ad for a fast food chain.
Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
But then that's when you realize, if you didn't already know, that, oh, this lady can't cook. And so she just like went and got a burger. I thought that was cute. So when Tony Curtis gets wind of Kristofferson's situation and how he's gone viral and that he is and that he's a big fan of Diane Cannon, Tony Curtis runs to go see the executive of the network, played by Richard Roundtree. And what is Richard Roundtree doing? He's at church doing communion, about to get the wafer put into his mouth when Tony Curtis like interrupts it. Again, it's so extra. Okay, the fake nephew Pugsley. He was so annoying.
Yes, he was.
I thought he was that typical like 90s 11-year-old who's like a little too smart for his own good, who's doing everything he can to blackmail people out of money. It got a little tiresome.
Well, yeah, because he gets Diane Cannon for a 20. He's like, I'll offer to have a nightmare and stay in your bed so Tony Curtis won't bother you. $20,
which again is creepy.
That was very Christina Crawford of like, wow, you know a lot for your age.
But the character of Tyler, the aspiring actor, there's a Terminator reference.
Yes.
Because at one point that character puts on some sunglasses and tells everyone, I'll be back. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, his character got a little much too, though.
He did.
Because he was getting in Kris Kristofferson's face. And I think the awkwardness was that Kristofferson or his character don't quite know how to react. So it's like he just shuts down.
Yeah, it was awkward in that way. Okay, there's a scene. Did you recall Tony Curtis's character is running around the house in Connecticut and he slips and like busts his ass? Like he slips, flies into the air, falls onto a coffee table that breaks. And then he just gets up and keeps running around. That man is in his 60s. Let me tell you something. If I felt like that now, y'all be
whatever was, if you felt like that now,
y'all be sending your condolences to Nick. Sorry about your loss. Like I would not have survived that.
You would. We would just
not that I'm in tip-top shape.
Everything would have had to halt, and we would have to.
Tony Curtis got right up.
Yeah, he did.
That was funny / ridiculous. Another thing that was ridiculous is, well, here's another thing I really hated.
The score.
The score is interesting.
That's a word for it.
How would you like? It's
leading.
It's whimsical, but leading.
But apparently, so I was reading Mitch Albom, the author of The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and other such drivel.
Oh no, I always reference Tuesdays with Maury.
Yes, I
love that little book.
He was nominated for a Cable Ace Award for composing a song in this film.
I hope it's the end song, which we have to get to.
Is it Cooking for Two? Was that it? That might have been it.
Oh, I didn't even bother to look at what the end song was called, but
anyway,
we have to look that up.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I just lost my train of thought.
Tony Curtis broke his.
Oh no, I was talking about the score, but then I was going to say that. So another thing that really bothered me is Kris Kristofferson knows that Diane Cannon is married to Tony Curtis, right? Like that's what he understands.
That's the presentation of
that's the presentation. He's in their winter home. And he's flirting with Diane. And I just found that really tacky. Like you're a guest in these people's home. For all you know, they're a couple who are not swingers or whatever. And he's flirting with her. And at one point he's telling her, wow, you smell really nice. And she goes, oh, thanks. It's Chanel No. 5. No, he goes, something smells really nice. Oh, it's my Chanel number 5. And he walks right past her, like in a very seductive for Chris Kristofferson, I don't know. But in that
way.
But in that way that's like, I'm gonna graze you.
Yes.
And then there's a tree behind her that's seeping sap. And he grabs some of the sap and puts it behind her ear. And he goes, cedar.
Oh, cedar.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If I were standing at the bar and if you saw some random man graze past me, touch some random fluid on the wall and put it behind my ear, how do you think that would go?
I don't think it would go well, and I wouldn't be worried. But
I just couldn't believe he did that.
But it's kind of creepy.
It is creepy.
There are some boundaries here that we haven't established. We can cross them yet, and I think that's where the failure is in the adaptation of this screenplay. Is it's kind of missing out on the satire that's needed in the middle, and kind of what would clue Kris Kristofferson into that this woman, if she is married, she's in an unhappy one. And he's touched by something about her.
Well, and then I feel like that would have made sense, but then I feel like we would have needed. They don't really have any like heartfelt conversations,
right?
Like I needed at least one conversation to see why these two people like each other. Mm-hmm. But speaking of boundaries being crossed, so of course Dyan Cannon, we're told, she's not a homemaker. She is she's an independent lady in New York City. So she has this little grandbaby that's like a year old.
Melissa.
I don't know how old babies are, but that baby looked young.
It was a young baby.
Like maybe it's not even a year old. Like they still have to give it a bath in like a bucket by the sink. Mm-hmm. And Dyan Cannon hands this baby to Kris Kristofferson to bathe.
Oh yeah, she's like, here, take it.
And it's a little girl, which already is like, I wouldn't let some adult man wash my little baby girl. But she hands this like baby girl to Kris Kristofferson, who is effectively a stranger, and lets him wash it, and she's gonna leave. And he goes, you just gonna let me wash this baby by myself? And then she starts to wash the baby. And then of course it's funny because she just takes a handful of baby shampoo and puts it on that baby's dry head. And then he's like, okay. And then she takes a couple little handfuls of water and puts it on the baby's chest. And then they just put the baby in the towel.
Yeah, all done.
Didn't rinse the baby's head. Didn't.
What would have worked in this scenario, because it's the 90s. We're not stuck in the 40s and female characterizations then. Like Dyan Cannon should have been forgetting herself that she's attracted to this man, so she is transgressing in ways that make him be like, what, you're married, right?
Right. That's what's missing.
Like he's not understanding, like, this woman is coming on to me hot, and I feel uncomfortable because you're married.
Also, this is terrible, but I already mentioned Dyan Cannon is wearing, like, it looks like she's wearing stiletto acrylics. Mm-hmm. Like she has full-on talons, like Angelina Jolie and Maria. And the way she's holding the little girl naked, like the little baby girl, she's holding that baby like a bowling ball. Yeah. Like the baby is in her palm, and we see like one finger like up the baby's butt crack. And then I'm like, oh Lord, where is that other finger? Like, I just don't know. That scene was uncomfortable to me.
It was. Yeah.
Nora is over it. Nora does not want anything to do with this baby, which Nora. I thought was funny.
Well, when Kris Kristofferson first gets there and everybody's kind of messing up their roles because they haven't had time to practice yet, and Nora says something, and Dyan goes, Nora hasn't been with us very long.
Yeah. I did think their relationship was cute.
It was cute.
Again, if Kris Kristofferson's supposed to be this integrous man, like this park ranger who put his life at risk to save a kid and whatever, I'm just so put off by the fact that he's flirting with this married woman, and who, like you said, has not shown him any signs that she's open to his flirtation.
Yeah.
He also, again, there's a scene, he looks weathered, but there's a scene where he, like, I think someone screams, and so he runs.
Oh God, he's been brushing his teeth.
He's been brushing his teeth, and so he has toothpaste, and he just looks like a rabid animal.
The toothpaste. I brush my teeth twice a day. Has the toothpaste ever looked like that on your mouth?
I have never seen you with toothpaste around your mouth like that.
Like
it's like, I don't know.
It looks like he'd eaten a wet powdered donut.
Okay, I have a question for all the parents out there. If this baby, I don't know, should I look up what does a 9-month-old look like? What does a 9-month-old look like? Oh, this baby might be younger than that then. What does a 5-month-old look like? Child, this baby might be like months old in the movie. Okay, in this movie, the only thing we ever see this baby eat is apple juice. That bottle is always filled with apple juice, and that's all they're giving this baby.
Yeah, that it was odd.
Is that what we feed five months old?
No, I don't think so. No,
I would think they need formula or breast milk.
But yes,
I mean, in the girl with the needle, they're feeding a 6-year-old breast milk. I don't know, but yeah, I was so put off by that damn bottle filled with orange juice or apple juice. Okay. So Kristofferson seems so oblivious to the fact that Diane Cannon can't do anything except her hair. And Tony Curtis is getting really jealous because it's obvious that it seems like she wants Chris's attention. And Chris seems to like her. So Tony Curtis tries to sabotage it in the morning because this is after Chris has told everyone, like, oh, I don't like an old fancy breakfast. I just like coffee, bacon, and flapjacks. And Tony's like, oh, well, she has a famous flapjack cookbook. So the next morning, now that Tony's mad, when Chris comes into the kitchen, he tells Diane, why don't you make Chris some flapjacks? And she panics, like, I don't even know how to mix pancake mix. But then the one time that she does something successfully is she has to flip a flapjack. And I thought that scene was cute because she takes the skillet with the flapjack in it already poured, and she of course throws it into the air, and of course you think, oh, it's going to hit the ceiling, but no, she successfully flips the flapjack, and she's so excited, like when a little baby does something and they clap.
And then Tony Curtis is like, do it again. I'm like, no.
There's a moment when Diane's talking to Tyler because she's become aware that Tyler, the wannabe actor, and Josie are having marital problems. They both work for Diane on the TV show, and they are a couple, and they're playing a couple for this fake family they are. And Diane's telling Tyler, like, all those things, meaning like all the success he wants, they don't mean diddly squat if you have no one to share them with, which of course reminded me of Mahogany. But then while Diane is talking to Tyler, trying to tell him, like, you need to be more attentive to your wife and less focused on your career, you're going to lose her. Then you have Tony Curtis talking to Josie, and he's like, girl, Tyler's a loser. Okay. So Tyler, his little shtick did get a little old because he's acting like a serial killer. And at one point, I don't know what the purpose of this was, but he's handling the little baby and he's being sweet with the baby, like talking baby talk and, scratching her little cheeks. But then he hears someone coming, and then he gets back to his like serial killer role. And then he's pretending he's going to kill the baby. What did you think that was like? What was he doing that for?
Practice? I don't know.
But I mean, I don't know why.
That is clunky and does not work at all. And also, he was giving me that hair that Tom Hulse had in Parenthood.
He's a nice looking guy, and the hair did feel like what year is this movie? 1990? 92. I mean,
it was of that age, yeah.
Oh gosh. In the beginning, when they get to the house, when Kristofferson gets there, he's like, hey, where's your Christmas tree? And then they again are telling a lie on the spot, and it makes no sense what they're saying. Like, oh well, we get the tree on the day of, a decorator comes and does all of it, decorates the entire house. But that doesn't make sense because the house is already decorated.
Right.
You just don't have a tree. So they end up going. There's a scene where Diane Cannon tries to chop down a tree, and she looks like she's going to kill her, chop off her own damn legs. She's so clumsy with it. But they are successful, bring the tree back, but they don't have any decorations. And she's like, oh, well.
The house got robbed.
And it just is all so stupid.
And he's going, what kind of person steals Christmas decorations?
And then he's so dumb, like, oh, I guess. But they decide to decorate the Christmas trees with popcorn and cranberries. And I'm like, I know maybe in A Christmas Carol, that was what they might have done. But I just, and then what made it worse is Nora comes out with some cookies she made that look like those maranitos, those at the panaderia, those Mexican gingerbread pigs.
The little pigs, yeah.
Yes. Nora's cookies were big as hell, and then they hang them on the tree.
Yeah, no.
Man, I'm not going to have a live tree in my house with popcorn, cranberries, and like sugar cookies.
Gingerbread cookies.
You know the kind of bugs and pests we would get?
Well, it is winter, so hopefully none. But
well, hopefully none. That's right. So then they're decorating this tree with all these perishable items, and Diane's looking at it like there's something missing. I know it needs like something on the top of the tree. So she goes and gets one of her ugly, expensive tchotchkes and puts it up top. So Kristofferson is helping her up the tree. And did you see him with his face damn near buried in her ass?
Yes.
That was a bit too much for me. This is too much. So, of course, Diane is all excited about the Christmas tree and she's in the spirit. So she's like, I know this is early, but she wants to give everyone their gifts. So some of the gifts she got, I think it was, no. Did she give Josie? She gives Josie a book called Love Isn't Always Easy.
And Josie goes, this is for, we need this to Tyler. And he's like, no, you need this.
Then she gives Nora some earrings.
Mm-hmm.
Who does she give a sweater to?
Kristofferson.
Oh, she gives Kristofferson.
He says, I need this.
She gives Tyler sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gives Tony Curtis a pine cone. And it's just like, she doesn't say anything. Because at first I thought, oh, does the pine cone open up and there's something in it? She's just like, no, you're welcome. Okay, one inconsistency that really bothered me is part of the chaos that ensued at the beginning when they get to Connecticut is that Kristofferson shows up a day early, like a day and a half early.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, what? And Kristofferson says, well, according to this fax I received, I'm supposed to be here right now. And she's like, fax? What fax? And Tony Curtis runs over like, oh, it's my fax. You know, I organized a interview with People Magazine. They're going to be here for 3 days to do a piece on our special.
Mm-hmm.
But we never see People Magazine.
No, we don't. That's
that
true.
really bothered me.
Oh, okay.
That
bothered you.
Well, the whole point of him getting there so early was that they were supposed to do this interview,
right.
And then the interview doesn't happen.
And I think that, again, this script drops the ball in a way that, you know, those classic 40s screwball comedies that we would get didn't.
So at a point, Diane doesn't care about Tony Curtis anymore. And neither does Kristofferson. Like, they are fully flirting. They go to a dance together, which I thought was funny because for some reason, everyone's wearing like what you would expect a bunch of rich New Englanders who go to some bullshit hoedown to wear. And so they all look the same. But then Kristofferson shows up dressed like a character from that SNL skit Sprocket, like
Mm-hmm.
like this tight black outfit with like a tight black turtleneck. I thought that was so awkward.
Speaking of inconsistencies, they go to that dance soiree, whatever Winter Wonderland shit happening outside. They're in the middle of filming a scene. Tony Curtis is losing it, and where they have the little Christmas carolers come in the background, and Diane Cannon says, "Everybody take a break." And then she walks off set with Kristofferson and has that extended scene, right?
Yeah.
And they go on a sleigh ride. And then Richard Roundtree shows up on set. And everybody's scrambling to find Elizabeth Blaine, Diane Cannon. And then when she does get back to the set, they're like, oh, you're with 5 minutes ready to go. Where was it explained that the break, how long the break was?
That's a good point. She walks off set for a very long time because they have time to go to a hoedown.
Mm-hmm.
They're dancing. And then they somehow steal like someone's Christmas sleigh, like a horse with a sleigh attached,
mm-hmm.
and they mosey on back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
That made no sense. They get pulled over by the police. They get ticketed $200, I think she says,
because they took this
because they stole a horse and sleigh. Then when Richard Roundtree shows up, of course everyone's like, oh my god, like the head of the network's here. Tony Curtis is having his makeup done. He fully looks like Liberace. Didn't he?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Kristofferson tells Diane when they get back to the taping, like when they're ready to do the live special, he says to her something like, "You deserve all the happiness you can get."
She goes, "Do I?"
She goes, "I do." I just don't think there's no character development for this lady. She seems very happy doing what she's doing.
Yeah, she seems.
The only thing we know is she's kind of paranoid about getting found out.
Yeah, but she doesn't seem like. It seems like she has a really nice time with her life.
So then the live special is going to start, and Tyler, because everyone's scrambling to find Diane Cannon, Tyler goes to find her, comes back and says, "I couldn't find her." So then Josie goes, "Let me go look." Okay. I mean, I don't know where you're going to look that he didn't. So she hops in the car and is driving, I guess, back into town, and she crashes into a tree. So obviously it's like, oh no, the cook is not here to do the live cooking show. So that's when you know for sure there's going to be chaos. It's also at this point that we realize that Kristofferson, he did not know who Diane Cannon was. That book, he had just happened to see it at the airport and then made that comment. And the only reason he agreed to do the show is because he wanted the money. So that's kind of like a final gag that I felt like was really disappointing, because it would have been different if I felt like they genuinely had a connection. And then he reveals, like, you know what? I only came here because it was a job or a paycheck, but I'm so glad I did because you're amazing. No, with that dry ass face and his lazy dialogue, he's just like, yeah, I didn't know who you were. Okay, well, great. Okay. Oh, something I'd never heard before. The cops called Diane and Chris, the ones who dropped them back off. He calls them, "Okay, you foreheads, get out of the car." Had you ever heard that term before?
No.
I had to look it up. I guess it's like slang for, like, you have like a thick skull.
Okay.
Like you do dumb shit. I kind of like it though. Okay. So the live show begins, and they announce it, starring Elizabeth Blaine and her real life family.
Just lying to people.
And then Tony Curtis, after all these shenanigans, after all these theatrics, screaming at everyone that they're not doing things right and how he knows how everything should look. Chow, when that camera, when they say action and that camera's hot, he fully freezes. I thought that was funny. Like, that's what you get.
And she goes, plops him down by the fireplace. She's like, "Sit here."
But then everything goes to shit. I thought the actor playing the live show producer, because of course Tony Curtis can't do it because he's in the show. I thought that guy did a fantastic job because he is blowing a gasket.
Yes.
We have Josie's missing. Tyler's holding the baby, looking crazy. Pugsley is like on a ladder in the tree, and he's sick because he's been eating all the food. And at one point he vomits into the tree on live television. And then Diane finally realizes, like, I'm just going to tell the truth.
Yeah, I can't do this.
I can't do this anymore.
Well, because she goes to the kitchen unannounced, and they have to follow her, and the crew is scrambling, and nothing. It's when she realized that nothing is made.
That Josie wasn't able to cook the food, which doesn't make sense, because if Josie left 5 minutes before they were going to go live,
there would have been a lot more done.
She would have already had all the food cooked. So that, again, is like, that doesn't make sense.
So she starts scrambling and takes out pancake mix.
And her even mixing the pancake mix looked like she didn't know what she was doing.
She didn't, no.
And then, I mean, at one point she tells Tyler, like, you know what? Well, so she tells everyone's true identity. Like, Josie is the cook, and I owe everything to her, and Tyler's an aspiring actor. She tells Tyler, now's your time. Like, show people what you can do. And he starts auditioning while he's holding the baby. And then Tony Curtis tries to stop Diane Cannon, and Kristofferson punches Tony Curtis. Like... that was weird.
Yeah, and he pops right back up though.
Richard Roundtree loses it to the point where he fires everyone. Like, literally everyone gets fired, and then they cut the live feed. And that's when we flash forward back to New York City, and Kristofferson and Diane Cannon are in her kitchen. being all lovey-dovey, and she's prepared a meal for him. And she goes, cooking is really easy when you follow the directions.
Right, which is cute. Like, yeah, girl.
I thought that was a really cute ending to the movie. And then we get the closing credits, and the closing song, I thought it sounded exactly like the theme song to The Nanny.
Yes.
With Fran Drescher.
Nanny named Fran.
Which was really cute. What would you give the 1992 film Christmas in Connecticut?
I think 2.5 is really nice. Notably, the person who wrote this teleplay version, Janet Brownell. It's Jan Stevens. Janet Brownell, her next credit was the Amy Fisher story.
The Long Island Lolita?
The one with Drew Barrymore.
You know I'm all about Joey Buttafuoco.
I'm all about.
No. Whenever I have to drive long distances with my mom, like if we go to Vegas and when we come back, we just put on who's the man? Scott Peterson, like any true crime podcast we can find about OJ, the Long Island Lolita, and Scott Peterson and the Menendez brothers. We'll just play them.
The hits.
The
90s hits.
Yeah, peak. Yeah, I would give it 2.5 out of 5. I do think it's worth the watch. It's cute. It's on Amazon Prime for rent. I think if you're looking for a silly, and also check off the box of watching Arnold Schwarzenegger's sole directing credit.
Right.
I mean, for that reason, I would recommend it. And if you don't know Diane Cannon, who I didn't, what are some, like, what do you think?
Well, she's a 3-time Oscar nominee. You know,
for which films?
Her signature role is Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, a Mazursky film that is a must see. Heaven Can Wait, I believe, was one of them. One of them was for a short film that she starred in, but might have also produced. And she didn't get an Oscar nod for this one, but it's a Golden Globe nod, maybe. It's an Otto Preminger film called Such Good Friends. I think she's really good in. And then one of her most famous ones is Heaven Can Wait, opposite Warren Beatty, which, of course, Mr. Chris Rock remade as Down to Earth.
Oh.
And you and I have seen that because we love Lynn Whitfield in that one.
And Diane Cannon is still alive at 87, and I think it's really cool that she was married to Cary Grant.
Yeah, they had a kid.
Isn't that crazy?
They had a kid who's had a bit part in Babylon, but it is crazy, especially since Mr. Archie Leach was purportedly bisexual.
Cary Grant was also like, what, 30 years older than her?
Yes.
So, but that's all I have for Christmas in Connecticut. You were going to end with a poem, but before we have some stuff happening next week, I think, right? What am I watching next week?
With
Baby Girl,
the last 2 press screenings of the year,
which are
Mufasa and Sonic 3.
Wait, what's the first one you said?
Mufasa.
Oh, Mufasa. I have no interest in. I am going to watch it, but
Barry Jenkins, and then
Blue Ibuprofen is in it.
Blue Ibuprofen.
That's from Got to Be Real.
Oh my God.
And then our reviews for The Brutalist and The Room Next Door are dropping, I think.
Yes. That sounds Blue Ibuprofen. That sounds like somebody trying to fool somebody about Viagra.
I'm referring to Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy, is the voice or a voice in Mufasa.
Great.
Blue Ibuprofen.
Yes. So many things, but we're winding down.
Okay. You can bless us with some Nikki Giovanni.
The poem that I selected was Quilts. Are you familiar?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Like a fading piece of cloth, I am a failure. No longer do I cover tables filled with food and laughter. My seams are frayed, my hems falling, my strength no longer able to hold the hot and cold. I wish for those first days when just woven I could keep water from seeping through, repelled stains with the tightness of my weave, dazzled the sunlight with my reflection. I grow old, though pleased with my memories. The tasks I can no longer complete are balanced by the love of the tasks gone past. I offer no apology, only this plea. When I am frayed and strained and drizzle at the end, please someone cut a square and put me in a quilt that I might keep some child warm, and some old person with no one else to talk to will hear my whispers and cuddle near.
Rest in peace, Nikki Giovanni.
Yeah.
Ta-ta.